Aloha, everybody, and welcome to Spirit Chat Radio. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's, I believe, is fitting for the time of year, and that is 8 angel signs. Before I get into the 8 angel signs that I want to talk to you guys about or teach you about, I want to discuss this a little bit more because there's a lot of stuff out there that says, 12 signs your guardian angel's with you, 8 signs your guardian angel's with you, 3 ways to tell if your angel's with you. And they make me laugh. And immediately when I read stuff like that, or someone brings it to my attention, that's a red flag for me, because these people should know, or anybody talking to you about angels, if they have any awareness of angels, can feel them, see them, if they're in tune with the angelic realm at all, they would know that your guardian angel's with you all the time. You are in constant energetic connection with your guardian angel, the same as you are with your spirit guide. From the minute that you are born or incarnated onto this planet till the minute that you leave, your guardian angel is assigned to you the same way that your spirit guide's assigned to you, and you're never separated from them in the way that people would think. They're always energetically connected to you. So they can be where you're at in like the most instantaneous millisecond you can ever imagine, because the way that time or travel works in other dimensions is not the way that you conceive it or recognize it here on Earth. And so they're always around you. So if you are unsure, or if you've read things or people tell you, oh, here's how you can tell if your guardian angel's around, and here's how I know, well, you can just be rest assured you don't need a sign to know. They are there. They are there with you all the time. So that's one of the first things that I wanted to clear up, is they're never not with you, first of all. Second of all, I also notice, and people come to me and ask me questions about, is this my angel? Is that my angel? Etc. A lot of things that are out there, again, you know how the internet's always true. A lot of the things that are out there are really interesting because they confuse angel contact or angel signs with your spirit guide contact and spirit signs. And so that's another thing that I want to clarify today a little bit more. And the reason for that is because, if you've been following me for a while, like I've talked about before, that your guides and your angels and everybody have a very specific purpose. And your guides do a lot of your guiding. A lot of you letting you know that they're around. They try to do a lot of communicating with you. Your angels don't work in the same manner. However, they will give you signs. They can communicate with you, which we're going to go over. But they are usually around when it comes to healing and or safety. They are protectors. You have to envision that your guide is there for guidance and to help you navigate through life. Your angels are there for protection. They're there for energetic protection. They're there for physical protection and for healing. Angels are healers. They help to heal your vibration and keep your vibration, moving in a certain direction or a certain flow. They can aid your vibration when you need a healing done. They can actually heal you. So that's something that's really interesting that people should know about. So basically, you don't want to confuse the two. You don't want to confuse, well, I guess it doesn't matter if you confuse the two. It's okay, as long as you realize that there's some type of spirit contact going on or whatever. And that's another thing. Angels are a different type of energy than a spirit guide and spirits are. They're different, what's called a phylum. So that's also different. But as long as you know that you're having extra help that's not from the physical realm, that's really all you need to know. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about these 8 angel signs a little bit more so that we can get into the nitty-gritty of this show today. So number one sign is feathers. However, this is where you might get a little confused. Feathers can also be left by your spirit guide. And I want to get into this a little bit deeper too, because if you research or have heard like feathers, coins, here's some things that people get confused about when they're talking about spirit guides versus angels. Coins, babies or pets, seeing something random, temperature changes. Those are all spirit contact. Coins, babies, pets, temperature changes. That's all a different energy that's going on right there. So those would be more your spirit guides. Now, feathers, that is one that can be both. It can be angels, it can be spirit guides. So how you really would want to tell the difference is if a feather shows up in a time of really deep desperation, of a sign of some sort of healing or some sort of very major, I guess I would say, worry about safety. Like, for instance, if you're worried about maybe a child's safety, maybe they're away at college, maybe you're worried about a situation where everything's going to be okay and everybody's going to feel good. Maybe you're worried about somebody's health. Situations such as that would be, and a feather shows up, that would be where the angel energy is coming through. If a feather had shown up and you were just like, give me a sign whether I should take this job or not, see, that's a guidance question. That's a guidance thing that you're trying to reach there. So you see the difference? If you're worried about health, healing, protection, and things being okay, like seriously okay, very stressful health or healing time, then that would be an angel sign. If you're worried about more like, should I do this or this? Or, is everything really going to turn out okay? But, basically everybody's healthy and safe. Then that's a guide. So that's how you would tell the difference with the feathers. The second thing that I want to talk to you guys about, or the second sign, would be orbs. Now, orbs can be, and most orbs, that sort of tripped me up there. Most orbs are caught on film. So that's where a lot of people see orbs. Now, you can actually physically see orbs, but that's a lot less common. So, but if you see orbs in photos where you're taking a picture of family, or maybe you're outside, or, well, you guys know, I'm certain that most everybody who listened to this podcast has seen orbs at some point in time in a photo. If you don't know what an orb is, it's kind of a little white circle. And I'm not just talking, a lot of times they're not just like one giant orb, just so you know. They tend to be more mini type orbs. So a lot of orbs that will show up in a photo, that is definitely angels. Another sign that people overlook often is actually people. Angels can show up in human form, and they can talk to you, and they can then disappear. And so this is something that's interesting. I've had this happen a few times. My dad's has a very close relationship with his angels. He's had it happen often. It's an interesting experience because usually these type of people, these angels in human form will tend to show up randomly. They will always talk to you, and they will have something to say that will leave you kind of going, that was sort of interesting. And the next thing you know, they're gone. That's like, for instance, one of the last times I think that happened to my dad, he was on the beach here, and there's a very long stretch of beach. Somebody had come, sat down, talked to him for a minute. He turned away for a second, and literally in seconds turned away, and this person was just disappeared. Of course, has enough contact with his angels that he knew right away, because you can tell they feel different. Like I said, they're usually giving you some interesting type of message that actually leaves you intrigued, I would say. It leaves you going, huh, that is an interesting thing that you just said. It'll leave you thinking somehow. And then they disappear very fast. They like almost instantaneous, like almost like you turn your head and they're gone. So this happens to people more than they think. And I'm trying to think of that movie. There's a movie, I think it was John Travolta had played about the angel. But there's some movies that actually are very good portrayals of angels popping in and giving you a little bit of guidance for a minute and then popping out. And by guidance, I mean, it's not usually something like your guide would say. I don't want to confuse you, but it's something that's leaving you with an intrigued thought. There's something that you need to hear. And what they do when they make physical contact is they actually adjust your vibration. That's really cool. So when they're making physical contact with you, you tune in with them enough for them to adjust your vibration, and then they just go out. I've talked about this other one before, but this is number 4. Flashes of light. And if you see these flashes of light when it comes with an angel, they will look like orbs. They will look like balls of light. They usually have color to them. Like I've seen a green one. I've seen a blue one. They usually have a color to them, but when they flash really big, it'll look like a white light. And they a lot of times will come with a popping noise or some type of, because they are coming through dimensions, and there is, I guess imagine it like Star Wars or something, you know, when the ships go through and then or Star Trek or something, they pop through. It's that type of thing. They almost make like a popping noise. And those are always angels. Orbs of color and light, flashing lights, those are angels. And they usually do it not like several times in a row, but like once, like one pop or one flash. And a lot of times these flashes will occur right above your head, like, right above your head area, or about 3 feet off the ground. And so that's something that you cannot overlook. If you've ever seen one of those flashes lights, I know I talked about this before when it happened inside one of my houses when the kids were running around and there was a giant flash of light. They are so bright that it will light up a huge area. Like this one lit up my whole house. It was ridiculous. And they will grab your attention. There's no going, was that a flash of light? Was that an angel? It's like, no. You go, what the heck was that? Like, that really caught my attention, and everybody's eyes will be the size of 50-cent pieces for a little while. So flashes of light is another way that you can tell that you're an angel sign. So then there's actually seeing them. This can in their natural state or natural form. My son used to see his a lot when he was little. And anyways, they tend to float above you. The most common time to see an angel is, again, around someone or near like a hospital room, hospital bed type of situation. Or they've actually been caught on film too, I believe, in hospital rooms. I remember seeing one time. And then also, it's very common if you're sleeping or dreaming. They like to be around you, right above you at that point in time. And so, like, for instance, my son, when he was little, he would constantly see his guardian angel, like, right above them. And they tend to float horizontally many times when you're laying down, because they're kind of like mirroring you a little bit. They're, like, right above you. And so you can actually physically see them, and they very much look like a drawing that you would see. They have the wings. They have different colors, wings, gold wings, white wings, that type of thing. They're huge. The angels are a lot larger than you would realize that they were. Their presence is very big, and their size is very large. They're like, I would say like 6 feet or larger, and their wingspan is just ginormous. And so they will tend to float above your bed many times at nighttime, and they will again come with the whole wings and everything, and they all look different. So there's a lot of what would I say, stereotypes of angels, but there's male angels, female angels, looking male or female looking. They have longer hair, different colors of hair. Can have mid-length hair. They're just like people. They have a lot of different appearances. But they usually tend to, when you see them in their natural states, have something flowy. But definitely the wings. The wings are a giveaway, guys. The wings are definitely a giveaway when you see them in their spiritual realm. So that's a little bit different than their physical realm when they can take on a very human form. When you see them in their spiritual realm, in their natural state, they take on definitely a more angelic form. So the other sign number 6, is you can feel them. Now, this is something that is another thing that you most likely won't wonder if you've had this happen or not. You'll either go, when I start talking about it, you'll be like, oh, that's what that was. I knew that was something. Wasn't sure what it was. But now that makes total sense. So you can actually feel them around you. You can almost feel them if you are in a time of major stress, a time of, again, some serious worry about health or healing, or worried about protection, or like I've had some things happen to me in my life where I've had some very, very stressful times where I literally thought that I would emotionally just break into. I can't even explain it, but just very, very hard times. And during a couple of those times, or most, because there wasn't like a ton of them, there was 2 or 3 times where there was an instance, all of a sudden, it doesn't take long. I have immediately felt it almost feels like fuzzy, warm energy. It's so funny. Like somebody just takes these big angel fuzzy wings or something and just engulfs you in the most calming, loving. I know this is weird, but it feels like a warm, fuzzy blanket energy. It is the most calming, warming, crazy energetic hug feeling. It's almost hard to explain, but you can imagine it like I'm explaining it. It's like this whole energy engulfs you and hugs you. It is like a hug. It wraps around you from above your head to below your feet, and it engulfs you. And usually when this has happened to me in particular, I know immediately because I can feel it, and then I go from feeling very emotionally fragile or whatever the situation, or worried or whatever, to an overall immediate calmness. There will be the most calm feeling that takes over your entire being, that it's like you're not even really, you're just kind of going with it, because it's like, wow, I don't know what's happening to me, but I'm feeling very okay right now. Like things are gonna be very okay and calm, and I'm feeling super relaxed, and I'm just gonna flow with this. And so that, for me, for instance, when that's happened, it will happen for it can happen for an entire day. You can walk around with this feeling, but I also know what it is. I've had it happen, and I can sense the angels. I can feel them very much around me. And I can feel their angelic energy. And when that happens, my brain immediately shifts to, no matter what that my right brain's trying to tell me, oh my God, this is happening and that's happening, whatever. I immediately go, doesn't even matter, because I know it's going to be fine. Like I know to the core of my being, everything's good. And it is the most amazing support you will ever get. It is so cool. So you can actually feel them. and you will feel a calmness. You will feel almost like a warm, fuzzy energy. You will feel it wrap around you. You will feel the most loving type energy come through, and it will engulf your entire being all the way to the core of your soul. It is very different than when a spirit guide comes around and you can feel them and sense them beside you or behind you, or you can, people talk about temperature changes and, tingling in the body. Those are all spirit contact. All of those are spirit contact. That is very different. This is something that, like I said, it's not beside you, behind you. It's not something that goes through you. It literally engulfs your entire being. It is so awesome. And again, how you can tell the difference, it usually comes at a time where there's concern or worry about health and healing and or safety. So that can happen. Intervention stuff. This is really interesting. And this is not really hard to figure out. Any type of intervention where there is a healing intervention and or health and healing and or a physical intervention, such as, I'm sure you've heard lots of stories where so-and-so was, there's no way they should have made it out of that wreck. Or that you yourself started maybe spinning out of control where you were driving and you knew something was going to happen. The next thing you know, you're totally fine and the car's fine. Or, like for instance, I have a story that I've probably told before, but it's an interesting story. Again, you need to remember my kids were very, very tuned into their spirit guides and angels when they were younger. So this is probably a bit different experience than other people. But one time I went to pick up my son who was at his grandma's house, and they were swimming. It was summertime, swimming in the pool. And I'm thinking he was probably around 4 or 5. I was trying to remember his age. Probably about 4, maybe. And this pool was not a huge pool, but it was big enough that obviously you'll realize by the story. He said, "Mom, I almost drowned today." And I was like, what? Like, that was not funny. That's not what I'm laughing about. I'm laughing about when I say it out loud, it sounds very strange. So he's like, "Mom, yeah, I almost drowned today." And I was like, what do you mean? Like, how is that even possible? First of all, because he was a swimmer. He could swim, first of all. And second of all, the pool, so many things are going through my head. Where's grandma? The pool, how did this happen? Because it wasn't like this pool's 8 feet deep or anything. Well, as I'm sure that you guys have experienced before yourself or seen children, he had done something to where he fell into the pool and couldn't find the top, but he fell in unexpectedly. And he said he couldn't find the top. He couldn't tell what was top or bottom. And, I'm sure he was panicking at that point. And he said he was trying to get to the top and trying to find his way to the top because he couldn't get his feet under him as well. And he said at the very last second, before he felt like he could not take another breath, 2 arms grabbed a hold of him and set him upright on his feet. And I said, "Well, who was it?" And he said, "It was my guardian angel." And I said, "How do you know?" And he said, "Because I seen her." And I was like, oh, okay, thank God. Now, of course, you guys know that we're kind of an odd family. So for me, I didn't even give it a second thought. I'm like, yes, thank God, cool. Thank goodness. And I believed him 100% because I knew immediately his angel had been around a lot. He knew immediately who it was, but that would be an instance of intervention. He also had an experience, there's some huge waves out here, something very similar out here in an area in Hawaii, which he probably doesn't realize it was his angel. His angel popped him to the top of the water when he was boogie boarding. That's why his angel's around a lot. He likes to do all the things that scare you as a mom. Thank you, angels. Anyways, So any type of healing intervention as well is very much angel work also. Now, then the body can naturally heal itself. It absolutely can. It wants to, as long as you're not blocking the healing process. However, angels can definitely aid in that process. So there's been many, you guys can go research so many things on angel intervention. I'm sure it's ridiculous, but, things where people have healed of different terminal illnesses when they were told that they wouldn't. People who healed themselves of different sicknesses when they, even pneumonias or different things of that nature, when they said that, they wouldn't. I have a lot of stories about that with my son, because that actually happened again when he was 2. And I know his angel was around when they told me that I had taken him to the doctor. My kids were hardly ever sick, hardly ever. And for whatever reason, he had ended up getting pneumonia when he was 2 years old. And I took him in, and they basically told me that, there's not much we can do. It's viral. However, if his lips turn blue, rush him to the emergency room. I was beside myself as a mom. Like, still even to this day, it just blows my mind that that's what they told me. Oh yeah, if his lips turn blue, take him to the emergency room. That's definitely what you want to hear. So we did a lot of energetic adjusting on him, which again, it's not something you go back and tell the doctor. But we did some energetic adjusting on him, and we called in the angels, and the energetic adjusting he always very much responds to, but that's when your angels come in very strong. So, long story short, it didn't do well that night, and immediately the next day was way, way better. Like, immediately. It was craziness. He had a follow-up appointment 2 days later, and when he had gone in the 2 days later, because they told me, of course, he'd have this for weeks, right? When he went in for the appointment 2 days later, the doctor said, I don't know what's going on, or what did you do with him? And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? And they said, there's no trace of pneumonia. Now, mind you, he had had a chest x-ray. It showed that there was pneumonia. So they did another chest x-ray, and there was no pneumonia. And he just shook his head and looked at me and said, I don't understand what's happening. This isn't right. Like, I don't get it. So expect this to come back, because it most likely will. This is like, I don't know what's going on here. Never came back. Never did. So that would be another type of, so there, I gave you one of a healing one and one of a physical intervention. And I'm sure there's a bazillion more stories I could come up with on regular intervention stuff, but you guys get the gist. Odd occurrences where you thought something major was going to happen to your physical being and or your health, and something seemed very odd that occurred that intervened. That would be an intervention. So the last one is angels will definitely have signs that occur in Mother Nature. So this would be the number 8 angel sign. And that would be something like with clouds. A lot of times you will see cloud formations. You can see like lightning things. You can see different signs like maybe in a rock or in the sand, or just signs that occur out of Mother Nature are usually not your spirit guides. Those are angelic signs. So they're angels are very closely linked with Mother Nature energy. And so that you can also tell the difference. I can't even post that on here, but I had a super cool photo sent to me one time, and it was one of the best angel signs I've seen in a long time. In fact, I should probably post that in one of my groups so that you guys can see it. And it is literally, I'm not even kidding you, it is 2 halo rings and in the sky. And it is absolutely amazing and cool. Like, it is so cool. That would be a very good sign of angel sign through Mother Nature. So let's go over and summarize the angel signs one more time for you guys before we go. So number 1, you got the feathers. Remember, the feather sign would be more if you're in a state of worry of, health, healing, or like protection type stuff. Otherwise, that would be your guide. And also coins, temperature changes, all that. That's spirit contact. That's something different than angel signs or angel contact. You got orbs, usually seen in photographs, but they can actually be seen in person. That's really, really rare. Most often it's in photographs, and they tend to be like mini orbs. Sometimes there can be a few big orbs, but usually it's not one giant one, but more like mini type orbs. Number 3 is the physical realm, in-person contact with somebody who looks just like a human. And they usually have some type of intriguing thing, something that gets you thinking, and then they disappear very quickly. You will always know because it's an odd entrance and an odd exit. It's a very quick entrance and exit, and they definitely will leave you like, those little memes with a question mark above their head or something. It will leave you with like, okay, that was interesting and strange and got me thinking. Flashes of light that will look like orbs, but they tend to be flashes. A lot of times they will be a color in the orb center. They can be anywhere from 3 feet off the ground to above your head. Big flashes, the light part is not usually colored. It's usually white. You can actually see them in the spiritual realm. You can see them in your mind's eye. You can see them with, your clairvoyance. You can actually see them, and that's when they're looking more flowy and huge angel wing span. Usually they tend to be about 6 feet or larger. A lot of times they tend to be above your bed, but they can also come, in again times of healing and or being worried about safety stuff. You can feel them. Remember that big energetic hug blanket feeling, the most calming, loving, engulfing energy that will just stay with you to the core of your soul. You will feel them around you, literally embrace and engulf you. Any odd intervention, whether that be a healing intervention or a physical intervention of safety. We went through a couple of stories with that. And the last thing would be a Mother Nature sign, potentially clouds, sand, rocks, stuff that has to do with